Let's break down those movements now with Nesan Nair from Sasfin. Nesan, as always, many thanks for your time this afternoon. Let's talk about those overall markets. Nothing good to show at all today, except for the resilient rand, I suppose.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, Rofhiwa. It was a bloodbath, I think is probably the best word to describe it. It's been a while, since the markets pulled back to this extent. Remember, not so long ago, we were almost counting the 70,000 level on the all-share index. Well, we're now back to 65,000, so that set us back a little bit. Obviously, on the back of what we saw happen on Wall Street yesterday, market is exceptionally concerned about higher inflation coming through, and we can see even on the commodity prices right now, iron ore hitting $200, oil prices recovered, and then some from last year's lows. Copper prices gone up as well. So the commodity prices, I think, might be driving fears of higher and higher inflation, and I think that's given the market concern that perhaps there should be a risk taken off the table. And we've seen this sort of reaction before. We'll just have to keep a close eye as to whether or not, the sell-off is sustained into tomorrow and next week.
Let's move on to some company news. A lot coming out today on the company front. Let's start off with Tiger Brands. They're announcing in a trading statement that they are expecting their earnings to be very improved in the reporting period. And of course, they've completely left that listeriosis saga behind them.
Yeah, good news for Tiger Brand shareholders. I think it's been a tough few years. You did mention the listeriosis crisis that they've had. They've had to work through that. They've still got some legal issues to deal with there. But I think shareholders will be relieved that the earnings have actually gone up by quite a lot. Almost about 1.5 times compared to last year. We'll have to wait for the numbers to see exactly where it's coming from. If it's coming from higher prices, then, that's the inflation story for you right there and then. It's a concern, I think, if food prices have to go up, especially in these times. But we'll just have to wait for more clarity once the actual company results come out.
And what about Redefined Properties? Nesan, not a good picture that they've painted in their trading update. Just a sign of the times, really, and having to adjust your business model because of how life has changed.
Yeah, Rofhiwa, you actually mentioned, not a good time for the property companies, and I can't agree with you more on that. I remember the days when Redefine used to pay 70+ cents, as a dividend now at 26 cents. So it's gone down, almost by a third. And obviously the share prices tracked that as well. The market was probably expecting something a bit worse. The shares were up 2.5%. It's a strange, one of the anomalies today to see the, Redefine up and the rest of the market down. But, certainly a tough time for property companies. And, hopefully this represents a low, in earnings, and things can improve from here. But, as you say, nothing to indicate that that's going to take place anytime soon.
Yeah, something that's also very tough for a company is Long for Life. I would have thought that Sorbet would have buoyed them despite the economic difficulties, but those earnings also halving and having an impact on overall Long for Life earnings.
Yeah, tough one, this Long for Life. Came in with a lot of promise, obviously. Brian Joffe, what he did at Bidvest, a lot of market commentators, a lot of market participants, investors alike, hoping for big things to happen there. But, I think it's also a difficult time for retail-related shares. The share price is trading at around 4.50, 4.60. It had an update today, but the stated net asset value of the company is over 7 rand. So, you could draw an inference from that the market may be believing that, there's perhaps a little bit more a value to be eroded before things get better for Long for Life.
Right, and finally, very briefly, Nesan, Elon Musk bringing down the share price of Bitcoin because of a decision that he has made to no longer use the token for Tesla. Talk us through that very briefly.
Yeah, so, obviously he's concerned about the environmental impact of Bitcoin. Just for the benefit of viewers out there, Bitcoins are actually mined through a computer algorithm, and obviously you need a lot of electricity to do that mining and to run that algorithm. And in a lot of countries in the world, electricity is still generated through fossil fuel, and of course, that's not necessarily the best thing for the environment. So Elon Musk, looking at Bitcoin, as something that's obviously having a negative impact on the environment, and as a result trying to stay away from it. And this, of course, giving rise to a slide in the Bitcoin price. And I think for a lot of investors that have been buying into Bitcoin, they might be a bit afraid of what this could mean if other companies like Amazon, for example, decide to follow suit.
And that's what I was thinking about, other companies following suit. Nesan, thank you always for your time. That's Nesan Nair from Sasfin, giving us a wrap of the markets today.